We're putting in a well today. Now it's a solar well pump, so they're drilling a hole for the upright pole where they can mount the panels. Now those panels will be connected to the well pump that sits a couple hundred feet into the ground. We talked about the process of drilling a well, but what's going on now is we're building that rig to hold the solar panels, and that'll take this water production and this water pumping completely off grid. We don't need connection to the main grid. So as long as the sun's shining, we're pumping water. So I'm going to use this hydraulic drill for that hole so we can put the uprights in. This will go a lot faster with the excavator than it will doing it by hand. So I use the auger to drill a hole, and we're going to mount these panels to it. That's what we're working on now. It always makes me a little nervous working around other people just because I'm not the most experienced operator in this crew I know. Got this pipe in the ground, that's the vertical pipe. Now they're attaching a mount that will handle the horizontal cross piece that we're mounting east-west, so it picks up all the sun because it's south facing. But that mount is just heavy duty, and I'm in awe of the machining that it takes to build some stuff. I wish I could do all that, but it's coming together. One thing at a time. This is why we talk about community, right? Because you can't do it all yourself. Making these parts. Sure, we could wrap and frap that together, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna take this auger over to the other farm so we can drill the hole. I'm taking the bush hog off the back of the tractor so I can put the auger on the back of the tractor so I don't have to move the equipment from the other farm that we're gonna use for fencing. Bro, it took way longer than it should have, but we put this auger on here so we don't have to move the equipment from the other farm. But like an hour probably. Like 20 minutes. There's a story of everything. I joke that I'm 15 years into the 3-year plan of this farm, and I just bought the other farm, so like the guy was asking me, when are you gonna put your fence up? I thought it'd be 3 years ago, but we'll just keep on rocking.
Look at my invisible fence.
Yeah, it's right here. So we got the Emperor's New Fence right here. Keeping out the haters, you know? Keeping in the cattle, keeping out the haters. No, haters are always welcome. Comment below. Thanks for the engagement, brah. You saw us putting in this well, but now the power's been attached. So let me walk you through the system that we have here to pump water to places that are already determined but not installed yet. The first thing I want to talk about is this fake rock. You need some way to insulate and keep your well equipment from freezing. And that's all in this fake rock, but there's two types of fake rocks. There's an insulated one, and then there's one that has an insulated liner, and that's what this one has. So when we lift the rock up, now notice that it's not like completely done, because when it is, we'll have to dig this out, put this in the ground, and put some dirt around it. But we're gonna put in some water lines here shortly, so provided that the weather stays nice. So this is what we're working on. There's the insulated bag, comes off, and now we have the computer and that controls the well pump. The solar panels, that's where we get the power from. Notice we don't have any batteries, so only when the sun is shining will we get some water. If you have worked with a well before, here's the pressure tank, here's the computer that tells the pump to go. It's not like the pump you may have in your house. This is like a constant pressure pump. And so the computer tells it like what voltage to go to like pump the water out. So if we have a little bit of flow, it pumps a little bit. If we have a lot of flow, it's going. This is the test nozzle, and in order to get your well like approved, you have to send a water sample off for testing and have that recorded with the county. So the pumps out, comes to this pressure tank, which is like pressurizing the line. You'll see the pressure gauge. These typically run like 30 to 50 or 60, 40, but the way they work is when the pressure falls, then it clicks the pump on, and this handles that like swing in the pressure. There's air in here and a bladder that you have to like pump it up like your car tire, but that allows for the pressure to change and be consistent. We have a garden hose hook up here, which we won't use because that means you have to get inside. And then here we have a ball valve, and then this is gonna go to our water system. So when we wanna turn it on, we just hit that handle and the water will flow to the cattle waterers and the frost-free hydrants that we install here in the next little bit, maybe.
All right, now tell them why you've shown this.
Yeah. And I'm showing you this because I want you to be familiar with solar powered wells. Oftentimes on there might be a couple reasons. You're super far away from the grid, or you just don't want to deal with the grid. The power company is months away from getting you a power drop and you need water immediately. The solar power is a really, really good option for off-grid applications. As long as the sun is shining, this water is pumping. You can see there's lots of pressure, but that depends on your well, and that depends on the water in your region. But a solar powered well is a great way to do it. Now the batteries aren't the most efficient, so you can't depend on this to pump when the sun is not shining. However, we're gonna put a generator plug here. The other way that you can do is if you're at the top of the hill, you can fill up a large tank that will gravity feed whatever you need below. Now, a gravity feed, you need 1 foot of elevation for 1/2 of PSI. So if we're looking for the 60 pounds, 40 pounds that a house might require, you need to be 80 feet up in the air with your tank. Now, you have other challenges with a tank like that, and that might be that it freezes. But we have known people to put cisterns in the ground, whether that be a septic tank or a large in-ground potable water tank, and then that can gravity flow to other stuff. We won't need it here because we've designed our system to have some extra capacity at the watering stations that'll get the cattle through the evening when the sun's not shining. But these panels are really, really efficient. We've used 3 of them, and even on a cloudy day, we'll get a little bit of water pumping, and that's all we need from this. I'm showing you this because I want you to be sustainable, cheaper, faster, and more efficient than we were. So this is 1-inch black poly pipe, and I'm showing this because I want you to be familiar with it, because it's what transports water in ground. This is good for a long time. You need some fittings to attach whatever you're trying to do, but when we bury this in the ground, it's a very efficient way to transport water long distances. So typically it doesn't matter how long you transport water, it only matters the height change. And this 1-inch poly pipe, it comes in different sizes. 3/4 is popular. We like 1 inch. You can go as big as 1.5 inches. I think at the supply store they sell that. But then you can get into 4-inch stuff if you're doing large agricultural irrigation things. But as far as moving water for cattle waterers, this 1-inch poly pipe, it's what I've done multiple farms with at this point. But 1-inch poly pipe, get familiar with it. Get it now. I was amazed that last time I bought this stuff, how difficult it was to source that. Not that the little sections are hard to source, but for long runs, for cattle type installations like this, it was just hard to get a hold of. So we introduced you to the black poly pipe. This is what it attaches to. This is a frost-free hydrant, and it's buried below the frost line in your area, but it allows water to come up wherever you need it. So when you lift this handle, what's happening down below is that's where your valve is changing, and it's allowing water to flow up here. So it's all the time, it's below the frost line, insulated by the ground, up to, in this area, it's 2 feet below. But when you're done, you fill that trench with gravel. And so when this valve closes, all the water that is in this pipe drains out through the weep hole at the bottom. And that keeps your water line insulated and everything else from not freezing and breaking, because there's no water to freeze. We'll show you how to install them, but this is some really essential tech that you'll have on your farm. Something I think is funny is people, the city folks that don't have experience will come out and they'll start pumping this like it's an old hand well, pumping it up and down, trying to get water, not understanding how it works. Don't be that guy when you visit somebody's farm. Interesting fact, anything that has a threaded nozzle is not for potable water. And the thinking is that you could put that hose into a bucket and then have it back siphon. This has a way for bacteria and water to collect inside those threads. So if you see these, it's not ideally for potable water, though we drink from the hose all the time.
You do.
I do, and that explains it. So it's 26 degrees when I walked out of the house this morning, and before it got super cold, I wanted to make sure that we had reliable water here at the farm. We showed you how we put in the well, put in the solar panel, told you about the insulated rock, but before all of that to work, we need to have a way to get water out of the ground. I showed you how the black pipe works. I showed you how the frost-free hydrant works. But I just want to show you that we dug a trench, we put the black pipe underneath the frost line. Wherever you are, before you start a project, you need to know the frost level. Here in Virginia, it's 18 inches down, will freeze. So we want to put our pipes in the ground way lower than that. We're 24 inches at minimum, closer to 30 in a lot of places. Of course, you have your in and your out where it has to break through that frost line. But provided that we're lower than the frost line, that's going to keep our line from freezing. So we trenched a line with the mini excavator, threw the dirt up to the side, and installed this frost-free hydrant here at the end. So there's a black 1-inch pipe coming from the well to this frost-free hydrant below the frost line. But when we install these things, we want to make sure that we have gravel all the way around. There's a little valve at the bottom that allows all the water that fills up this pipe when we cut off the water supply to drain back into that gravel base. So we have, you know, a foot of gravel down there at the bottom of the trench. Make sure that we've covered that hole. So the water just pumps from the well and it comes up here when we lift up on this handle. Now we don't need any water anymore, so we shut it off. All of this water leaks back into the ground, into that gravel pit, into the trench where it spreads and sinks into the ground. But that is what keeps our water from freezing when the temperatures get below 32 degrees. Well, if you're building a farm, you need to get intimately familiar with these frost-free hydrants. They come in all lengths based on where you are. I've even seen some that are 7 or 8 feet. So you can bury them way down in the ground. Fortunately, where we are, 2 feet gets it done, but know about frost-free hydrants and install them on your farm. We got a lot more water plans here, but this is the first step. So whenever we need water, we have a little bit of access here. You may or may not know me, but I'm Scott Vernon and I founded the Sustainable Homestead Institute to help people feed themselves, their families, and their communities, and ultimately get back to the land. That's our goal, to get people back to the land more efficiently, because this stuff is really expensive if you don't do it right. Take from our 18 years of experience and click the link below and see what kind of homesteader you are, and see if you're ready to join our community of like-minded individuals that are all about helping each other.